All right, so here's the project I've been working on. It's my 67 Nova SS. As I said, I was getting prepared for the 2020 Power Tour, which is now postponed till August. Not sure if I'm going to attend. I'll probably push that back to 2021. But in the meantime, I have a lot of stuff still going on. I've accomplished quite a bit. Um, Here's the engine bay. Pretty filthy, but as you can see, I got a whole new four-wheel disc brake conversion from the Right Stuff detailing. Still waiting on the front kit, but actually that's a CPP master cylinder. All new brake lines, a little bit different with their setup on a 67, or actually I think all the years, maybe 66, 67. Where they call for two brake lines. So I actually had to run dual brake lines, so you can see through the subframe there, hopefully, and all the way back to where the differential is going to be. That's not mounted currently. So here's my 12-bolt, original 12-bolt rear. I painted it last week, put all new gears in it. I had 390s. I put 342s, and I just installed the it's an old diff cover. I'm probably not going to be able to take that off, just so I can paint it. All new seals. I got that taped up right now from when I was painting it. These are the old axles, but I actually have brand new Moser axles in a box here. New Hedman headers. I did have fender well headers, which are hanging up here, that I had not that long ago had coated, but I decided to go with the standard headers instead of fender well, and I switched over to a stock 67 Nova bell housing, or really Nova, I think it might be 6N7, that I'll get under the car and show you in a little bit, and a 11-inch flywheel, so it's the smaller flywheel. Got the header just kind of test fit in here. It's very tight. I had bought a new mini torque starter, which you can kind of see through the header there. Put this kind of low profile alternator bracket on there, which is, it's all right. You got to grind a little bit off the ear here of the alternator for it to fit. It's Summit brand, cheap, not expensive. I'm going to try to see if I can strip the chrome and paint it black, because I honestly don't want to have any chrome on here. I actually just bought a new blower motor and heater core, because I had modified that to work with the fender well headers. And I kind of soldered some fittings back on there just to, because I had some elbows soldered on there, and I removed those and put straight fittings back on there, but I'm not really sure if the solder is going to hold up. So I bought a new heater core, pretty cheap actually, from eBay. So I'll be doing that. Here's part of the rear disc brake kit from the Right Stuff. Here are the calipers here. Got the rotors in here. New rotors. I do have the front and rear rotors, but I don't actually have the rest of the front kit yet. I'm waiting forever for that. I had a 3-inch exhaust with Flowmasters. As you can see here, cut all that out. I have a brand new 2.5-inch from Pipes. Here's the Cpp Power Steering Box, this 400 series that I had mentioned in my other video that does just not work right with a Z-bar for a 4-speed car. Also, you can kind of see, got the old steering linkage back there, the power assist unit that just was, it was dated. It served its purpose for the years that I ran it, but it's pretty nasty at this point, just beat up, and all the linkage was pretty worn out. Subframe connectors, I got to go back in. Old leaf springs with polyurethane bushings that I didn't care for because they were squeaky. And old trailing arms, which are also going to be gone. I'll take you over here to, here's my steering box that I did a video on, some other parts. Here's the broken Muncie Trans ear that I was talking about. So I installed a super case. Can't remember the name of the company right now that makes it. These are some parts from the Cpp steering box that I took apart just because. So I got to get that back together. So here's the new leaf springs. Just kind of waiting. Believe it or not, I'm waiting on bushings from Moog, from Summit, that have been taking like 2 months to come in. Old wheels and tires. With the new brake setup, I got to go 17s, which I wanted to do anyway. These tires, believe it or not, are like brand new, but they're so old, they're dry rotted. So I won't be reinstalling those. Drive shaft, I got new U-joints for that. Here's a bunch of, I think the rear shackles and bushing kits from CPP. It's only the rear. So all the bolts and stuff for that. So I'll get the shackles out of here. Take a look at those. And basically, these are the rear shackles. Seemed like a pretty nice unit, so wasn't too bad. A little under $100, I think. Some brake lines for the right line or right stuff brake kit. Some braided hoses that come with the kit. This was the Richmond Gearbox for the gears I installed. Some of the clutch boxes. Should see all the boxes I have in my basement. New gear oil. My toolbox. I bought a parts cleaner and a press, which I've always wanted. So it's kind of nice having that here in the shop. That's come in handy. Old blow-proof bell housing down there you might see in flywheel. Got rid of that and went with the stock aluminum unit. Just trying to lighten it up and tame things down a little bit. Honestly, it was just a little overbuilt, I think, for what I used it for. That's probably just about it. I guess I can give you a tour of the interior. A little bit disassembled right now. That's a I Did It column. Kind of a cheapy steering wheel on there. But I have that all pulled out so I can get to the steering box and assembly and all that a little easier. So some of this still has to kind of go back together. I bought new carpet that kind of fits, doesn't fit quite right for some reason, the rear section. But I'll play with that when I get around to it. So that's kind of it. I still got a couple things I want to do here. I ordered a new water outlet or thermostat housing because I ran a stock upper rad hose that to me just looks way better than the universal hose that I had running on it, which is over here. Just didn't really care for the way that looked. This one's a little bit more fitted, if you will. Some old steering parts in there. Some actually new, but I decided to just go all new. So I bought the whole kit secondhand. But let me show you underneath the car, if I can. So right now, this is the front brake kit I have on it. It was a mod back when I did this, years and years ago when I restored the car. Where you could modify the drum brake spindle and install, this might be from like a Monte Carlo, 70 Monte Carlo or Chevelle kit. So you can kind of see in here, these are the CPP upper control arms, and I have the whole subframe kit. So let me see, let me actually get a light. All new fuel line, as you can see running there. All the way back there, you might be able to see the brake line a little bit. These panels were out because of the fender well headers. As a matter of fact, when I bought the car, it didn't have panels in the front or the rear for the engine bay. I think I just put some sheet metal in here and left these out because I had fender wells. But anyway, new sway bar. I cannot remember the manufacturer, but you might be able to see the subframe, CPP subframe that's in there. Lower control arms. I may or may not get a new oil pan. There's really nothing wrong with this oil pan. It's a little beat up and leaking a little bit from just the drain plug, but that's kind of an easy fix. Also put a new harmonic balancer, new pulleys, the power steering pump from when I had power assist. That might actually come out if I'm not going to have power steering. And kind of see here, got the trans in, new flywheel cover. There's the mini starter. Here's the transmission installed. It's not 100% buttoned up like to the cross member, just because I might have to pull it back down to get the headers in and out. It just helps with the engine tilted. Let's see. So there's the trans. I pretty much, like I said, I put a new super case on it. I also installed this reverse light switch assembly, which is the factory style. Ran the harness up through the engine bay, connected that, as I never had reverse lights. I don't know if you can really see it, but the Hurst shifter, I completely disassembled that. Cleaned it all up, re-greased it, adjusted all the rods. Had to put a pretty deep throwout bearing in here to get the clutch fork geometry right. And let's see. Did a new Spectra fuel tank. Like I said, here's the new hose and the brake line waiting for the diff. I've run a rear battery, so that's the harness that you kind of see running along the fuel rail. I got rear shocks still ready to go in. New pinion bumper, because this thing was completely destroyed. Not quite sure if you have to coat the Spectra gas tanks. I think they might be galvanized. I don't know if I should clear it or even paint it, or if I need to do any of that, to be honest. But that's pretty much it. But yeah, so like I said, the idea was to really try to give this thing some love and get it more roadworthy, especially for a long trip like I'd be taking on the power tour. But yeah, so I still have some things to do and can hopefully capture that on video for you guys. And I'll also share some pictures along the way that I have been taking. Kind of wish I was shooting some video at the beginning, but that can take a bit of time too. So I was real focused on just trying to get it done. So now that I have a little bit more time, hopefully I can do that for you. So hope you enjoyed, and hopefully there'll be some more vids to come.